Everything I ate for $5 in Thailand. Tonight we went to a night market and I started off with a $1 soup skewer. I got a sausage and mushroom one and the mushrooms were so juicy. They just like soaked up that spicy broth and the sausage was really soft. And of course you got to drink the soup, which is so flavorful, like really spicy, but also salty in a good way. Then I got 10 pieces of pork siu mai for $2. It was covered in this crunchy fried garlic or onions, I don't know, but it added a lot of flavor and the dumpling wrapping was like stretchy and tender and the pork was so savory. And I kept seeing sushi everywhere, so I had to get some. You can fill up a box with whatever you want and each piece is 28 cents. This one had this big tender piece of crab or imitation crab, I don't know, but it was delicious. And this one was piled high with salmon roe that was almost like creamy. And this piece of salmon was so buttery, it literally melted in my mouth. And I had to get another crab one because crab is my favorite. And at this point I was getting a little full, but I saw a bunch of donuts, so I couldn't resist. Each donut was only 72 cents and I got this Nutella filled one that was nice and fluffy. And then this other one was a brownie donut that was covered in crunchy peanuts. And I think I actually spent more like $5.84. But anyway, that's all for today. Everything I ate at McDonald's in Singapore. Everyone keeps telling me to come try the McSpicy, and then I saw they had McShaker fries, which we don't have in the States, and I got the char-grilled chicken flavored seasoning. It was so much fun. I want to shake all my fries now. And oh my gosh, they were so flavorful, like salty and smoky, so much better than regular fries. And then I dipped them in their thick, sweet chili sauce. It's so good. Anyway, here she is in all of her glory, the Devil McSpicy. So they make it with chicken thighs, so it's actually like really juicy, and the bun is all buttery and toasted and it's decently hot. Like it has a lot of flavor. I'd say it definitely lives up to the hype. I also saw they had Oreo cheesecake, which is one of my all-time favorite desserts, but this one was just okay. It was kind of dry and it didn't have a ton of flavor or like crunch, but that's okay because look at this beautiful strawberry pie. It was crispy and warm and full of that gooey sweet strawberry filling, and I bet it's even better with soft serve. Yum. And then I got their chicken McCrispy because I wanted to try it with the curry sauce, and while the chicken was actually really good, the sauce wasn't amazing. It was like super sweet, but it didn't have a ton of curry flavor. But this caramel Oreo Frappuccino was delicious. It was so creamy and sugary, and that's all for today. Everything I ate at KFC in Singapore. They have a mac and cheese zinger burrito. I got so excited and ordered way too much food, but look at this thing. So the grilled tortilla was actually so soft and stretchy, and I didn't mind that the mac and cheese was overcooked because the chicken was so crispy, and of course I added some chili sauce because it's delicious. And look at how flaky this egg tart was. It was so buttery and the custard was pretty smooth too. And they also had a curry rice bowl that was steaming hot. The rice was actually really nice and light and the curry had a little kick. It wasn't like super flavorful, but not bad, like a little earthy and a little sweet. I also got their hot and crispy chicken, which they of course did not mess up. It was moist and I tried it with their mushroom gravy. It said it was original recipe sauce, but it was definitely gravy. It was delicious though, like really thick and savory. And then they had sour cream and onion sauce. I was so curious and it was really creamy, a little tangy, definitely tasted like sour cream and onion. And that's all for today. Things at a 5-star luxury resort in Singapore that just makes sense. So of course they bring you welcome drinks right when you arrive, and then the lavender scented towels are for your face. We looked it up, and they also take you in a golf cart to your villa. And again, like the White Lotus vibes are so real, like the plunge pool, come on. And then your butler shows you how everything works because there are like 2 different tablets and one controls the curtains and the lights. And then there's this iPad that you can use to call room service or like make reservations at the restaurant. They also left us a welcome letter and a whole cheese board and these beautiful chocolates, and the room was huge. It had this big living room and the bathroom had a little sofa in it, and there were 2 showers, one inside and then one outside, and the mini bar was stocked. And okay, onto the resort. So there were 3 pools, one up top, one big one in the middle where kids are allowed, and then at the bottom there's one that's like more private for couples, I guess. And also there are these wild peacocks everywhere. They just like run around the resort. Apparently there's an albino one. They've also got so many different lounge areas where you can have tea time, and if you miss tea time, they bring it to your room. These macarons were so good, and I thought it was kind of cool that they put their awards everywhere. Like they're so proud. I think it's really cool. Anyway, if you walk past the villa, there are all of these homes. Like you can live here full time, and then just past the homes is the beach, which wasn't crowded at all. And of course, there are so many fancy restaurants. I'll show you all the food tomorrow. And the property is so big. There's a conference center. It's massive. I think you can have weddings here. And anyway, that's all for today. Everything I ate at the Singapore airport. This place is massive. It's so gorgeous. One of the top reviewed spots is a dim sum place. And of course, Chris wanted to order everything, but I decided to get these barbecue pork rice rolls. They're so floppy, and the soft steamed rice noodles literally melt in your mouth. And the char siu is sweet, and the sauce is salty, and the whole thing's just so rich and satisfying. And I also got some fried tofu skin that was stuffed with shrimp. Literally like the crispiest, crunchiest thing ever. And it's like super buttery and it came with sweet chili sauce. And oh, I had to get some wonton noodles too. And the noodles were actually like really spicy. And it had baby shrimps, which just add like some saltiness and some fishiness, but like in a good way. And the wontons came on the side. They're also like so hot, but have this amazing soy flavor. And the noodles are so smooth and they're filled with yummy pork. Then we went down to the food court, which is insane. It's so gorgeous. And we went to a place called Devil's Chicken that had the best reviews. Of course, I got it really spicy. And look at this massive piece of fried chicken. When I tell you, it was so like succulent, so crispy too. Also be careful not to inhale when you eat spicy fried chicken because I temporarily died. But once I came back to life, I downed this thing like I couldn't stop. And finally, I went to this milk cheesecake factory and I got this like really flaky puff pastry. Half of it was filled with whipped cream and the other half was filled with cheesecake. And it was so tender, like really soft. And that's all for today. Everything I ate on my first day in Singapore. We're staying on the 58th floor of this 5-star hotel and we missed breakfast. So they just brought up a whole breakfast cart for free. Like they didn't even ask if I want it. They just brought it and look at this view while I ate. Dragon fruit is like the best breakfast food because it's so refreshing and it's not too sweet. And look at these tiny jam jars. And I feel like you can tell a nice place by their butter. Like it can't be cold. It's got to be soft and creamy and just salty enough. And the orange juice was fresh squeezed. Like, are you kidding me? Then we explored the city. We went to an interactive museum. We explored the hotel, which I literally can't get over this view. It's so gorgeous. We saw the super trees, which was literally on my bucket list. And of course, we got Singapore slings. And honestly, we forgot to eat lunch, so we just ordered in because Chinatown is right next to our hotel. And delivery fees are actually pretty cheap. And I was craving noodles. Mee goreng just hits different. Like the noodles are so thick and the sauce is savory and sweet. It had shrimp and these big chunks of eggs, which just soak up that sauce. And I also got Hong Kong noodles, which were much thinner. And they have this really great warm sesame flavor and lots of chicken. And finally, I got their orange chicken because who doesn't love orange chicken? And that's all for today. Everything I ate at a 2 Michelin star restaurant in Singapore. So this place is on the 70th floor and they serve you like 14 different dishes. This thing was called a white beetroot cloud and it was really airy and crunchy like meringue. And these were so good. They were little pancake bites stuffed with warm smoked cheddar. So they like exploded in your mouth with gooey, cheesy goodness. And just look at this giant bowl of soft, creamy butter. And then this big loaf of sourdough was served on hot marble to keep it warm. And then you sprinkle the bread with salt and it's so good. It's really light and soft and the crust is crunchy and the butter is like silky. And this was a sweet onion pie. Look at how soft these roasted onions were. And then they brought out these big eggs filled with rosemary smoke. And then inside was a slow cooked egg yolk and caviar, which honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of caviar. It's a little too intense for me, but then I dipped this brioche into it and that's a game changer. There's just something about like buttery, crispy toast with a runny egg. It's so delicious. And this wild sea bass was the first main course. Then they brought a guinea fowl stuffed with pork sausage and a purple artichoke pie covered in black truffle shavings. Oh, and then the chef came out and met everyone. He was so sweet. And then on to dessert. These clementine sorbets were so pretty. And there were like 5 different desserts, but this one was my favorite. It was these chocolate discs layered with chocolate caramel custard and mint chocolate ice cream on top. It was really crunchy and creamy. And finally, they brought out this tree with different chocolates and pastries on it. They were so good and I was so full. And that's all for today. Only eating mall food for a full day in Thailand. This mall was huge. The food court went on for like a mile. It was just a sea of street food stalls and bakeries. And I found a corn dog stall. So I got a crispy potato corn dog with spicy mustard. And it was literally like as big as my head. And of course it had the stretchiest, creamiest mozzarella. And the potatoes are like so crunchy. And the sugary ketchup goes so well with like the heat from the spicy mustard. And the hot dog itself was pretty good too. It was a little sweet. And then I saw a dim sum place and I had to get some pan-fried pork baos. You guys, the bottom is so crispy and they're super juicy. The pork is like bursting with flavor and the chili oil, oh my gosh, it was incredible. Like the best chili oil I've had since leaving China. Chris said this is the best thing we've eaten on this trip so far. And then we explored the mall and later I wanted something sweet. So I got this chocolate bubble waffle with strawberry ice cream, Oreos, M&Ms, whipped cream, and chocolate drizzle. And the waffle was warm and chewy, but also still really crunchy. It was actually so good. And the strawberry ice cream had little chunks of strawberries in it. And before we left, I had to get some skewers because they smelled so good. I got these dumplings that were fried with quail eggs inside and they were like covered in this sweet spicy sauce. They had that incredible deep fried richness and the eggs were so soft and warm. I also got a pork sausage that had the perfect snap and it was packed with like peppers and different seasonings. And finally, I tried some spicy chicken that was super juicy and tender. And that's all for today. Everything I ate on my last day in Thailand. Today at breakfast, I decided to add all of the toppings to my breakfast noodles. I don't know if it was a good idea, but too late. It also had like these big chunks of pork and fish balls, and I added so many different kinds of pepper. It definitely had a kick. And the noodles themselves are so like thick and slurpy, and they also had so much pad thai. I can't stop eating it. I know it's basic, but I love it so much. There's also something about eating noodles for breakfast. Like, why do I have to wait till lunch or dinner for noodles? But anyway, for lunch, I had some pad kra pao, and look at that runny egg. Oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous. It's seriously like so flavorful, like salty and spicy, sweet and garlicky. Wow, I'm gonna miss Thai food so much. And of course, I couldn't leave Thailand without some tom yum. It's that combination of like sour and spicy that just like hits you in the face with heat in the best way. And the shrimp was so tender, and it had a bunch of squid too. And finally, I got some chicken satay, and the sauce was super sweet, but the chicken was like the juiciest, most tender chicken I've had in like a while. It was literally so good. Like, I was so full, but it was so good. And it also came with toast. I feel like satay doesn't usually come with toast, but Chris decided to make a sandwich with it. He added pickled veggies, and I have to say it was fire. Like, the crunch from the veggies, and the bread was a little crispy. Delicious. Bye bye Thailand. And that's all for today. Everything I ate in Chinatown, Singapore. There's so much food here, it's kind of overwhelming, so we ended up just picking a place with the longest line where nothing was in English, and I had to start off with some scallion pancakes. I haven't had these since I lived in Beijing, and they're these really flaky pastries that are fried, so they get all crispy on the outside, and they have this amazing buttery, savory flavor. Comfort food for sure. I also got some gong bao chicken, and the sauce has this great ginger garlic flavor, and then the peanuts add this perfect crunch, and the spicy Sichuan peppers go perfectly with that really sweet sauce. And then we went across the street for some dim sum. Look at these fluffy char siu baos. The sweet barbecue pork filling just soaks into that soft bun. It's like sugary and savory at the same time. It's so good. And these soup dumplings were so tender, and the dough was like really soft but still kind of chewy. And then you gotta fill them up with chili oil, but don't spill it everywhere like I did. It was also so spicy, like maybe the spiciest chili oil I've ever had. Anyway, it was delicious, and that's all for today.